وأصحابه ومن بإحسان إلى أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to the second session, and forgive me if I'm just very briefly because we are pressed for time, and I know we're going to try and schedule the Q&A. I'm not sure how we're going to maintain that because as soon as it's the whole time, we're going to have to make the arrangement. So what we're going to be seeing, inshallah, here roughly is some comparative aspect of what is found primarily in the Zulu tradition, and it's known that other traditions have these things as well. And so it is more of expressing the comparative aspect of how to go about certain things. And maybe some of these things could be essential in your talking point. As we spoke about finding relevance and finding, some commonalities, maybe also something that we do. But we did mention earlier that our first priority is to know what is the primary message we want to drive home. And so sometimes when you do see certain disciplines or certain ways of life, as Islam is a way of life, you can always see certain elements, and this is something that we can always utilize at times. Because people who are pro-African, pro-Asian, or pro-Indian, and so forth, and sometimes, as we said, when you level with people in what they are upon, and for example, you speak in that which they understand most at times, and so maybe this could become. So what I'm saying is this should not be a standard, but rather this should be a blueprint. And I hope you take this presentation as a blueprint because it's going to be very focused on one aspect of this competitive approach. And so I don't want anyone to feel like this is not relevant to me. It's relevant to you in the exercise itself, or how it's being done. If you ask Allah to practice the benefit of it and remove any faults and flaws in it. So when you look into certain aspects of certain lifestyles, you see a lot of things that people practice and remind Islam also observes them. And it's always a nice thing, to remind people, because they feel Islam removes them from their culture, or removes them from their tradition, or it basically colonizes them wholeheartedly, completely. And they don't see Islam as a purifier of these backgrounds they're coming from. They see it as a virus that is just to go over the host. Because a virus, when it gets into a cell, those who know science, and although I said you must avoid it, and I'm doing it now, right? Hopefully it's easy to understand. When you get an infection or a viral infection, it usually takes over the cells, meaning your cells, and this is how some people see Islam as. And so they don't see Islam as a cure or a vaccine or like something that actually is there to rectify, not to destroy, and to overcome or change. And so some people they feel uncomfortable. For example, the issue of name is one of those talking points. So if Islam is not here to colonize me and my roots and is here to go away with my roots, then why should I change my name to an Arabic name or change my name to another name? And we were having a nice discussion with Sheikh Muhammad Amin yesterday about this kind of things, of how Islam preserves person's lineage and preserves, what their identity requires. And whatever is not necessarily part of the identity even of itself, but Islam will obviously have certain things it must take over. So, like for example, if you have a name, but it has a bad meaning, definitely Islam legislates that you must change the name. Why? Because Islam must be all about the good things. And so Islam finds the good in certain nations and traditions and tribal values and customs. It improves them and purifies them from those kind of things. And this is one of the things I hope we can always put forward whenever people are concerned about what about my tradition, what about my surname, what about my background, what about my name, what about my nationality, and so on and so forth. And obviously Islam is not about nationality itself. So at the same time, some people they may feel uncomfortable, blending into a multinational system. So you can always throw them back. You're not losing it. You're still a Zulu. We had Salman al-Farisi, he was an Asian. We had Rumi, one of the Sahaba, I forgot his name, what is it? Abdurrahman Rumi, if I'm not mistaken. One of the Sahaba was a Roman, Rumi, and so on and so forth. Bilal al-Habashi, and all those kind of things. And so it helps a great deal. Now, this is what I hope answers, the question is Islam of that people? Especially in the context of South Africa, because South Africa, Islam is seen as a religion for Indian people, right? And amazing enough, even where we were staying like tonight, when one of our team members, we noticed that in the place we were staying, in the Bibles and other religious texts, but they didn't have Quran. They had an idea, mashallah. Why don't we give them like copies of Quran, then we can put that as well for those people who do this. And the lady, very innocent, they said, no, thank you so much, we really appreciate this, because we get a lot of Indians visiting this. And all of us, we were hit by that because we know how much of a misconception the statement is. And to her, it's an innocent thing that is like your audience, your audience. As if you are Indian, automatically you're Muslim. Or if you're Muslim, then automatically, and I'm there, I'm a black guy, and then, so you have to understand that those type of misconceptions. And so this is what I have to answer through this, inshallah, and hopefully you yourself. You as an Indian person, as some Indian brother here, people are going to say, yeah, but you're telling us, but this is your religion, you're trying to overcome our culture, you want us to become, and say, no. Did you know that Islam has these aspects which are from your culture, which you have left, and we implement them, and we will see some of those, inshallah. Primarily, the concept of God in the African context was never flawed in the sense that he was mistaken for others or his creation, and this is what you find. The Zulu term that creator would be as the name. Boy, I know it's not going to be a word everyone can say, in heart, in the name. Who can try it? I think from Algeria, they say very young. They say very young. Yeah, okay. They say very young. Okay. Right. So when you understand the concept of religiosity, as we said, you also want to know the background of people, what they believe, what they are called, and so on. So we find that Zulus and Swatis and Xhosas and Zulus, Xhosas also say Kamata. And Zulus are saying Ramaseni or Ramacholo, one of those languages they have those type of things. But when you look at the profile, the creator, it always revolves around what we have in the class, one way or the other. Not in the whole complete sense, but we find that this is the case. For example, the Zulu will say, okay, there was some meaning the one comes from reeds. No reeds, the one that they use for the reed dance. That the plant, they read in sand, right? They build with sand. Usually, they invent because reed, no one plants it. So it doesn't have an actual origin that it comes from the seed or anything like that. So to sort of demystify the answer of it doesn't have a beginning or anything like that, they will just use that to sort of say it doesn't really have a foundation or an origin or it doesn't have a lineage, you understand? Because once you assign a lineage, then it must have been born or anything like that. You say, was always existing and everything else exists because of him. That's why I think some say, that was the first. Very like close to the name of Allah, Al-Awwal. The name of Allah, Al-Awwal, the first, without the beginning, then Al-Awwal, this term gives that understanding in that sense. And so they believe that he is the true creator. And this is alhamdulillah something that is like embedded in every African child, most of them, and any other nation. They know there is one creator. So they can do whatever else when it comes to worship. Because the issue of people is the worship aspect. That is why our job is to bring people to that understanding. If you know he is one, then why don't you worship him alone? Why don't you put your ancestors there? Why don't you put those trees and those items, whether dogs, whatever that people worship in place of Allah? And so that's what we look at. And when we bring or marry this concept and understanding of the fact that if one creator, then we must be one, and he must be the only one who's worship. And so when you look at people, they think Allah, the way Allah refers to something else or someone else. Some idol somewhere in Makkah, in that black cube, building the Kaaba, all those kind of misconceptions that have been going on. But once you marry these two, then it's something that we can talk about. As we said, we prioritize the right of Allah, and people they must be familiar with the word Allah as well. Because the thing when you say Allah is speaking of the word for the Muslims. They don't even know the Christians who are speaking Arabic, they say this. The Jews who speak Arabic, they say the same thing. Even the idol worshippers, they knew that if you speak about the creator, you have to say Allah. And so we want to also get rid of that so that people understand that. Whether I say Vedan or I say Allah, I'm speaking about the same thing. Now it can be a matter of how we doing right by him in terms of this machine. One of the things that we know, Allah sends messengers and prophets to every nation. right? And this is very important because after establishing the right of Allah, the oneness of Allah, you must establish prophethood. So one of the things you can always look at is how to establish the prophethood that proves to people that they are doing certain things which are actually from Sharia. Okay, but بكل جعلنا نعم بكل نعم شرعة ومنهاجا, that we, for every nation or every people, we were there what? A Sharia and a manhaj, meaning the method that they would do certain things. Like for example, why do these people do this way while others do that? Because it could be something that is from the previous Sharia or the previous manhaj of the previous messenger who was sent to them. And so this is not something that is far-fetched, something that is relevant. And so this is how some of the things I connect to that look at these and ask yourself, these are by themselves, like the name of the creator. Every household which is speaking Zulu, if you ask them what's the name of the actual personal name of the creator, they will say infinite. And there wasn't just one old man who decided that people to sleep and wake up and tell people this is how you should call the creator. There must have been one person who had a voice that could be heard and who could they believe that his message or information is true, and hence they accepted that name. You understand the point? And so this is very, very important and relevant in this particular aspect. This concept, and I apologize for these photos, I prepared quite a while back. For some people it could be something obviously which is the concern, inshallah. We'll find out this. But there's a concept in the Shariah which is called Kalam. That's why I skip that slide for the purpose of that I don't understand, and those are many issues. So make all the cartoons and one for it. Now, so there is a concept of modesty which is called injombi, which means that a woman must behave in a particular way. It's in the previous slide, right? Not in this one. How they behave, for example, when you say injombi, then it just means now. Yes, I did change it personally. I mean, purposely. That's why I said I'm skipping it because of the purpose I mentioned earlier. Now it says injo, which means that this is a concept of modesty where a woman behaves in a particular way. And the same thing with these, or when they say talented, including the manner of sitting. For example, when they say talented, then she wouldn't just sit like how we sit, spreading our legs, for example, when we sit. This is us wearing our pants, we sit, spread our legs. A lady knew that when she sits, she must bind her thighs and sit in a particular way or sit on the side. And all those kind of things. These were values that were observed and they were part and parcel of the concept of modesty. And the focal point in that is the purpose of hijab. The purpose of hijab is what? To divide and resuscitate modesty in women as well as men. You see the point? And so when people understand that concept, that it means you behave in a particular way, if you are a lady because it's modest for you, then you can see how our society right now is dead, and the only thing that can divide that is what? Is the concept of hijab in Islam. And now, what you then do, you vary that concept, you make a person understand. Women have their own separate spaces. Like today, people, they find it bizarre that Muslims, they separate between men and women, but traditionally, this is how it was done. You had a room or you had a hut, which is for the men, and a hut for the women. If they were to be in one space, still they would be separated. The one side against the wall is the men. The one side against the wall is the women. And even the people who are serving, for example, as an event, like a platform being observed, when the meat and the dumplings and stuff being spread out, they would have a young boy who serves the men. And then they would have a young lady to serve the women, and so on and so on. And this was something that was common because it facilitated the fact that there is no free mixing. You understand? And so Islam is there to revive that. And this is the talking point I'm talking about. That you say, we never had issues of trade. Our great-grandfathers, they never had. If they were, why we don't even hear about them? Because they were so seldom that they probably disappeared in history. Not that there weren't any evil people who still had evil ideas and things like that. Not that it didn't happen, but it was so very rare and so despicable that even the one who's thinking about it was ashamed of it, that you do something like that because of these values of modesty and these concepts. And so when Islam brings that, this is the revival of the society. And so we show that this is what Islam is actually doing. Contrary to what people think about hijab, then no, you're oppressing your women and whatnot.
Yes.
Muslim sisters have been saying, this is my freedom, because now I decide who sees what and who doesn't. You know, even the husband at times cannot even tell his wife to put in the car. She says, I do it. He might say, no, show your face. You know?
Yes.
She's like, no, I want to hide my face. Who should I show it to? You know my face. When I'm walking out, I want to win it. You see? And so this is to show that Islam is not only just the belief system and the religiosity aspect, but also even your daily practical practices in life. Because the concept of Ubuntu wasn't just one thing, this is just the motto, right? That you are who you are through others, right? This is just a motto, but it had other aspects of it, which leaves that possibility that this was a concept that was taught as a religion. The way people observed it, the way everyone was upon it and practicing it. And so we are here to say Islam is reviving that. Isn't it? Your women never used to mix with men anyhow, and there was no issues of harassment and whatnot. Yes. How many laws are coming up? There's a new law that if you look at a woman in a certain way, if she sees you staring at her, she can file a case. I think this is the UK and other European countries currently. She can file a case of harassment. You looking at her, didn't touch her at a distance, but she catches you looking at her, and they say, listen, if people knew that lower the gaze was something that Islam has already told us, that don't look at the women, don't stand them, they wouldn't need, a legislative law, or they wouldn't need what you call a civil law to take on that and judge on that. Because if women as well, just how Islam has taught them, then they wouldn't have an issue with people staring at them and feeling uncomfortable every time they are walking away or walking out. And so we say Islam is here to revive that. Now someone is going to say, no, but in my tradition, women never used to cover so much. We say yes, because they had the values that didn't need so much cover. Yes. Because if you had the moral values, even if you were as naked as we used to be, wearing our best shoes and the ladies wearing their shirts and things like that, right? But because they were modest, which is what is the goal of the whole concept of hijab and lowering the gaze is to establish is modesty. So this method didn't work. Well, we're teaching you these values because nobody is teaching these values anymore. Right? You must have the best way right now is that just cover them, because they may not be as modest morally. The moral values they may not be the most prominent currently. And so when they dress in a particular way, it serves a purpose. And when men behave in a particular way, it serves a purpose. And Islam is there to revive that. Another concept in this very same understanding with what was there back then and what Islam is bringing back is the issue of charity. Traditionally, people used to make sure if you are like someone coming from a different area or place, you didn't have anything, and you come like, for example, I'm coming all the way from Devon, and I'm coming here to speak, and I don't have a family, I don't have anything of what that I'm coming with. Maybe I'm migrating or trying to look for greener pastures, right? Then what they will do, the locals? The locals will then decide, okay, I have cattle. This one has sheep, this one has goats and whatnot, this one has crops. Then they say, gentlemen, how long are you planning to be with us? Maybe I say, no, I'm going to look for a new life. I'm restarting my life, and I don't have family, I don't have anything. I left wherever I left, I've got to look for greener pastures. Then the man will say, okay, fine, I'll give you 2 cows. Give you a bull and a cow, right? The other will say, okay, I'm going to give you, like a bull from the sheep and so on. And then you're going to have them, and then until they bear their offsprings. And then when they bear their offsprings, you keep the offsprings, and then you bring back my cows, right? This is elevation of the situation of financially, and in the society, someone's going to say, we have Sweden here, these are the people, even back then they had, some good land. They could tell you, okay, I'm going to go speak to the main chief, and, give you a piece of land, and then you can start your family and whatnot. This is what was done back then. Not how people are borrowing each other food stuff. For example, today people borrow each other food stuff. They don't give, they borrow. If I give you 10 kgs, you must know when I'm also like having a running short, I'm going to expect you to pay back. Some they even go with the brand. If I gave you Auntie Caroline, you can't give me biryani or steak or whatnot, whatever, which one they feel is more valuable than the other. Something like one's the same. And this was never the case with our people. And so now, this is dead, it needs to be revived. And we say Islam is reviving that with the concept of zakah and sadaqah. If these were the golden times traditionally, then you can see that Islam is that message revived and also, revamped so that it's relevant to the time we are living in. And that's what we are saying. We're not here to change your background and whatnot. We're here to improve what you used to be, to take you back to your roots, to Islam, to what you were, because you used to be a modest person, you used to be a very charitable person who was selfless. Not someone give you something because they expect you to bring it back when it doesn't have it anymore. Especially because food, you eat it and then you dump it. You know, your system is going to dump it. It's not something that can be returned. It's not like a screwdriver that I borrow you. You still got to bring it back intact. So these are the values that Islam is giving to people, and these are the values that I can tell you the concept of Ubuntu was all about. Ubuntu Malan. Right? I think there's a Sutu way of saying there's a what is it? Ubuntu Gaba, isn't it? And it was a version of it. And it was a version. Yes, can you see how widespread this concept was? To show you that there must have been an advocate for it. We're not making claims per se, 100% claims, but we're saying there's a sense of evidence in the fact that such a prominent concept cannot be so widespread unless there is an advocate who sort of like it. This shows how as well it connects people, which is what Islam does. Because if you have a Sutu saying the same thing, a Xhosa saying the same thing, a Zulu saying the same thing, a Venda saying the same thing, you know, all the way, then look at what Islam is doing. Islam is doing exactly that. You go to China, you say, Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You ask them, how are you? They say, Alhamdulillah. You know, you say, hey, I'm a visitor, you know. Then they say, hey, visitor, don't come to my house. You go to Muslim countries, people are fighting to take you as a guest. Today, they say, hey, chief, unfortunately, our house is full. People are making those excuses if they are not Muslim. But if they are Muslim, there is one da'iyah who does da'wah today, I think he's from Romania. He got lost in, I think in Syria, if not Iraq. And he was taken by one old man, told him, come to our house. They didn't even have lighting. So they told him, come to our house, no problem, stay in our house and sleep in our house, right? So they made him sleep on the one side of the house. They told him, no, we are going to another room. Only find it's a one-room place. They said, no, me and my family, we're going to be in the other room. So they gave them this room. And then this man wakes up in the morning, there's no one here, and this house is a one room. This family, this man and his wife and his children, they were sleeping under a tree nearby or in the house. This man is asking, hey, why did you do this? And he was excited, he said, because I'm Muslim. And this was enough for this person to be stricken by the spark of Islam. Because how can this man be so selfless that he's going to let his children sleep in the cold outside so that I can be comfortable in his house? This is the same thing about the Sahaba who had guests. And the Sahaba told his wife, you know, when we're starting to eat, you know, switch off the light. You know, they had light, you know, candles or, you know, those lights that you have oil and things like that. So that it's like they don't see. They would act like they're eating because the food wasn't enough for them and their guests. So they would sit here as if they are all eating, but allowing the guests to eat until they are served and said this day. Allah revealed, what is the ayah for it? There's an ayah. There's an ayah that express that. Now, and even the Prophet mentioned that, you know, Allah is amazed at your at these people. There's a whole hadith about it that outlines this in a very beautiful way. And so you understand that these values cannot be resuscitated and revived except through Islam. And so you tell people, listen, we are not here to change you. We are here to remind you, because also colonialism has shifted the outlook of people of what mattered the most. Today it's all about me, individualism. And Ubuntu was about other people, because I can only be myself if I am of service to you. You get the point? And as a Muslim, your neighbor, I can't go to sleep and you are full, and your neighbor is hungry. This is Islam. You are a true Muslim when everyone is safe from your tongue and your hand. But what do they think about Islam today? Hey, Muslim, you know, they just care. Isn't it? That's what they say. These people, you can fight, you can get it immediately from the Muslims. Right? That's what they think. They generalize, they overtake, and things like that. They don't understand us. And so you want to show people how close we are to them than they think. Because the reality is we are very close to each other. And it's only the fact that the definitions of what, or the language we're using today, is what is blurring the lines. Like when someone says Ibrahim and says Allah, you think between about two different entities or anything like that, and so on and so forth. And so we want to use this kind of, what you call commonalities. And this is very effective, alhamdulillah. I think I've had this slide for over, from around 2014 or 2015 or so. And I've not really done much to it. And, that's why it's still like some old photos I used back then, which obviously I had to update it a bit more, inshallah, so that it's much more palatable and crossable to share and display to our people. So I have a host of things that I see as elements of Islam that we find in the Zulu traditional way of life. I'll show you a few. Basically, the hut that the Zulus and the Xhosas and the Sothos and the Swatis and various other nations bring. In Zulu, it's called Buka Sitanda. Buka Sitanda means let's kneel and pray. It's a place for kneeling and praying. And those who know Arabic, they know the word masjid, meaning it's a place for sajda, which is done when doing an act of worship. Now, and I find it striking that the word for Bukasanas explains what this place is dedicated for. You see my point? It's dedicated for kneeling and praying. And then masjid is a place dedicated for sajda, which is also what? A type of kneeling and praying. You see my point? And so when I discuss these things, I always, bring it in light point the fact that you didn't like the older version of it. That's why you're now building flats with bricks and things like that in cement. So Allah made you rebuild it, in a way that is updated and relevant to your time with your bricks and whatnot. But still, it serves the same purpose. You get the point? And if you think this is, just a coincidence, I want to show you the next thing. Traditionally, there's something known as Umsamo. Umsamo would be the sacred place inside now. We talk about the outside, the building, the structure. Now, when we get inside, we get into the internal of it, there's a particular place there which you are not allowed to sit with your back against it. You either sit facing it or you sit adjacent to it. Does this concept sound familiar? Huh? And in the Islamic context, what is this? The Qibla. The concept of the Qibla is when you sit in the masjid, you sit facing the Qibla or you sit adjacent to it. And you're also not allowed to sit with your back against it, unless for the one who's addressing people. It's an exception for it. You get the point? Why? Because this is the direction that is regarded as sacred. Another point is, this is the direction when you are doing any act of, for example, sacrifice. When you are praying, you face this direction. When you're slaughtering, you face this direction. Traditionally, this is how it was. Yes. Zulus and Sothos and Xhosas, they can affirm this. This is a place where, as well, women who are in a particular situation where they went to Japan, right? You can understand that, right? Maybe if they went to Japan, they are not allowed to approach this place. And we know we have these regulations as well in terms of coming to the masjid when the sisters, they're on their trip to Japan. Yes. You get my point? Yes. Right? And so, once again, there's a huge relationship there. And this is what I find to be something that is maybe evidence or the remnants of the message of the Anbiya that was sent. And so Allah has spoken this is the truth. When he mentions that there is no people except Allah, that yes, that there isn't a nation where there wasn't any an Adil who passed there. A reminder of someone who's there to teach people the truth and show them the truth. And so when you look at that, and so I tell people, you left this concept or you've adulterated it with worshipping your ancestors when primarily it was about the creator in the first place. So Islam calls you back to a more universal. It was limited to you and your family. Islam says no. You have a bigger family than your own, immediate family. How about you face the Qibla of the whole of man? Because you are familiar with it already. It shouldn't strike you as something new. It should strike you as something new. We used to do this and then, we forgot about it. Islam is there to remind you. And this is how I tell some of the people. I said, listen, the true, this aspect of Umsamo is through Salah, facing the Qibla. When you slaughter, face the Qibla, bringing the masjid and all those kind of things. You remember? And so there is that relationship. And the whole aspect of the whole benefit I need you to do is to look at your people and your set of people and the relationship that what they wear when they call themselves traditionalists or they are doing part of their tradition. And you see, if there is anything, if you look at Islam, whatever the Prophet found the Arabs were upon, like for example, they were very good at taking care of their guests. They took pride in that. And so Islam didn't remove that or change it, but rather it improved it. Maybe gave other guidelines they didn't have. All those kind of things. And so Islam comes to do that. If the spark of the truth is not there, then it's going to obviously install it. And if there is something there, it's going to improve it and remove anything that is clouding the truth from the people. Another concept, if you know the people, the Nazareth people, they call Nazareth Baptist Church, usually known as Shamben, right? You're familiar with these people. One of the things that is a highlight of their actions or their religious activities is that they have certain times in the year when they go to one mountain called Islamic, another one is called I think Ubuntu or something like that. It's because they've blended the concept of tradition that prayers when they are done on the top of a mountain, they are more answered. This is actually from a Zulu tradition, where sometimes they have droughts. The Salatul al-Istisqa, when you're making prayer for rain, yes, the Zulus back then they used to do something of that sort. Where they will go up a mountain top with an animal and slaughter and ask them to send or to command the creature for rain called Numpokoloan, which is, we know in Islam there's an angel, which is, I believe it's IPCI, who is responsible for rain and crops, isn't it? Now the question is, how would they know this unless they were told that there is a creature dedicated for the facilitation of clouds and rain and all those kind of things. So they will take an animal and go and slaughter and then pray for Allah. Before they obviously adulterated it, because as we said, people they are prone to, if there's no reminder in the teacher, they are prone to digress and change something. And so they say, Islam is saying, don't stop doing your Salatul Istisqa, but do it correctly. Don't stop slaughtering, but slaughter the right way for the right reason according to the way the Creator has already had legislated before. And so it's a resuscitation of that. And Muslims as well, when they go for the Hajj, they also do what? What is the belief about Arafah? Is that any dua that is made over there is what? Is accepted. What is Arafah? Is it a mountain or no? It is a mountain. You understand? And so you have these correlations or relationships in this kind of concept. That should be a good talking point. Tell them. Don't you people, like for example, Sheikh, can I get your name? Abu. Yes. If like for example, you give me down speaking to a Zulu person says, yeah, no, but it's easy for you because you're Indian, and he would probably be shocked when you tell him, but didn't your people used to do a mountain prayer when they were like in that situations for the drought and rain and things like that? Then they will say yes, and they say, yeah, we do that. So how is this about us being Indian? How is this about us being Asian? Whatever the case is, you understand? You sort of have something that you can take them back to the fact that what I'm teaching you is not about my background. It is more about the Creator, what He has brought, because Islam is universal. And that's what we want to make sure. People have these nuances and also they have these points to basically refer to. And as we said, the priority once again, take them back to the life of Allah, the worship alone, and why Muhammad peace be upon him is truly a messenger and prophet of Allah. Then if they realize that, then it won't matter whether they are good or false. But some people they will put that. But we've had people when you speak to them, they say, I hear everything that you're saying, and I find it very interesting, but I am so. As if now this should be a prevention for him, Oh, no, but I'm dead. So what? The same Creator created the Indian man and the white man, He created you too. And worship is not about your race. It's about the right of the Creator who created you in these different tribes and nations so that we may recognize one another. Because imagine we all looked alike. We wouldn't know the visitor from the local, and we wouldn't know the traveler from the one who is a citizen or someone traveling from afar or someone from. But right now, if an Asian from Asia, like a Chinese man, you will know from the time he walks in over there that definitely this person must have had to take a flight to get here. So now you start doing your Ubuntu concept. You ask him, Brother, do you have places? You know, you have everything in order for you. How long are you in the country or everything like that? Do you understand? Why? Because this is the wisdom. This difference is not separate people, it's two. It serves this wisdom of recognizing without having, someone might, because imagine someone said, I am a guest, but maybe he's actually your next door neighbor. But because everyone looks the same, you won't know the visitor from the local guy. You get the point? And so there's wisdom in that, and these are some you can always talk around it and reference. Now, there's a concept in the tradition where when a child is born, and then an animal is slaughtered, right? When a child is born, some animal is slaughtered. Could be a sheep, it could be a goat. This is known as the marriage. I think it's what they say, right? They say marriage, isn't it? I think something to that effect. This is done when there's a newborn in the family. In Islam, what we have? Aqiqah. Correct? So, if someone says, no, but this is going to take me away from the tradition, no, it's not going to take me away from the tradition. If the true tradition is in line with the Sharia of Allah, it falls and the Tariq tradition, you see by what? It goes against the Sharia. That's how you can know whether this tradition is a true tradition or it's a fake custom. If it's in line with Islam, then you know this is the true custom. And if it's against Islam, then you know this is not a true custom. Or maybe it could be a true custom, but then it has been outdated because the Sharia as well abrogates the previous Sharia, meaning the previous laws, the previous Sharias, they are abrogated. For example, the Sharia that allowed alcohol has been abrogated by the prohibition of alcohol. For example, someone say, but yeah, Tina, we used to do Ubuntu and things like that. We say, yes, back then, but now there's something here and time where now this is abrogated. You see the point? And so you have those situations that you can only navigate. And then you tell them Islam teaches you the right way of doing this tradition. We are not saying take it out, we are saying fix it, rectify it, do it properly, do it correctly. You get the point. And so it becomes something that is easy and acceptable. Because the Zulus, now we're coming to area, and I'm trying to, not to take too much time, and I hope everything is a bit obvious in here, inshallah, that I'm not doing any injustice to any point I'm making. Zulus used to wear skin from cow, from other animals like fox and things like that. So animal skin was a bit of clothing. And so when someone dies, they will slaughter a cow. Funny enough, some Zulus they still slaughter a cow even though they are dressing this person up and they are putting him in a coffin, they still slaughter because they have lost even the meaning of why they were slaughtering in the previous. You understand? When the context is lost, then something is just done really easy. So the context is very, very important. So they will slaughter a cow, and so you must have you must be picking up. We have the enough skin for that this person now, and after maybe washing and then they put whatever they put on him. When we do it camera and other things. There are other things that they would do. Obviously they would have like what you call diviners or something like that. Someone was going to do certain things, before the person is ready for burial and things of that sort. The point is, skin was used as a clothing material, and skin was then used as a material to wrap the person when it is buried. No coffin. And when the person dies, it was only a matter of time before his grave is ready, then he will be buried. That is why later on they developed the concept when people started, spreading out. Someone dies in the family, the neighbors will bury the person. They didn't wait for him to come back from Joburg or from whatever. Because maybe you send a letter, it's going to take 20 years. Unlike today where you just phone, hey, so and so has passed on, you need to come down, take a day off from 1 month. Some people they will get a letter after 3 months, and the person has been long buried. So waiting, what they call in India today, this waiting. This is what they call service. There's a service that they do. This is something that they develop later on because the people are far to be reached out and whatever excuses and reasons they do. But usually when a person dies, they'll wait for a particular number of hours until they can tell. For example, the eye sockets will tell if the person has died because one of the things that gets disintegrated is the brain, and so it makes the optical nerve. That what you call the rope that holds the eye, right? That biological rope. It basically shrinks, and then so the eyes go to the back of the skull, and hence the eyes will start showing that this person has passed on. And other things that they will do, obviously, because sometimes the person is unconscious and the person is dead, you can't really tell the difference, just by looking. And so they will have obviously other things to show, and all those kind of things. And now, when they've established that, then they will start preparing to get this person buried. So this is where the whole thing now, they must have everything, like the right cow, this one have enough skin to help this person. Another aspect of that is it developed a, I would say, a bigger argument where, where now the one who came late, then is going to come. And you know, because when you're burying someone, then the sand, whatever the sand that was dark and then whatnot, then someone is going to come later on and collect some sand and also to sort of like connect himself to the burial that is involved in a sense that they say, right? So because usually when somebody is buried, we always want also to be involved. Isn't this what we want to do as Muslims? That at least maybe 2 shovels or 3, then you have done your part, you know, in being involved in the burial. So they also have that concept. Even if it came a bit later, then he's going to collect some of the soil and place it on the hump. Remember the hump or the hump of soil that is above the grave of the person. Later on, and the person didn't wait for him to come. Whether he was the head of the house or anything like that, other people took responsibility for that. You see the point? So they wore skin, they were buried in skin. They died. Subsequently, after the death has been established, they were buried. This is what we do in Islam. You understand? And there was no funeral services and whatnot. I know some funeral parlors don't like these things. Because I'm taking away business from them. And I tell people, listen, Islam, these are my funeral policy. This is my funeral, because if I die, it's upon the Muslims to bury me. You know? So I don't have to take the money, I should be feeding my children and buying the uniform and clothing and things like that, and giving it to that guy. That if maybe I last for 1 or 2 months, I don't even get the money I put before. Isn't it? It's like gambling with people's lives. And so we want people to be free from this, and these are some things we can tell you. There was never a shame. There was never a shame in being buried in what we used to work. And so because we were cutting today, so that's what we do. And so to go back a bit. This tray here, the one that is carried, is called Utaga in Zulu. Utaga, this is what you carry the person who has passed on. They would have something that was made either from, I think it could be like bamboo or any other this thing that they could use so that it's and then you carry the person. And that's what we do. That's what we do. And then so we ask them, how have we left our roots by becoming Muslim? I ask them, how have I left my roots when I still bury the same way our forefathers used to bury, when I still, you know, practice certain activities the way what they used to do, and still done because I'm Muslim. You understand? And so because we're wearing cotton today, is what I tell them, we're wearing cotton today, and so it's become relevant that we are wrapped up in cotton. You know? Because when it was skins, we were wrapped up in. Today we're wearing what? Cotton, so we get wrapped up in cotton. You know, and it's basically connecting in that, inshallah, and I hope this analogy is very simple. And we have also other things that traditionally were very important, like for example, I know section number 2, a lot of people will be excited about it, the second point then. Right, but the first point is the fact that traditionally this hand, speaking in the language, the hand for eating. Even the name for it mentions the hand for eating. And Islam emphasizes that. The shaitan eats with the left, but you know, you must eat with the left, you must eat with the right. And if you say, Isanda, so good. Or Isanda, so good. And so what do you say? Then, so allowed. That's how you also say it, isn't it? You see, that's my point. And so this is something that Islam requires and resuscitates. And I mean, you know, African people we're always quite very polygamous, you know. And so Islam didn't take that away from it. Actually, Christianity took that away from it. That's why there's a lot of issues with mistresses and things like that, with people who claim that we are happily married, you know. I chose the right one in the first instance. If someone remembers the issue of Jimmy Swaggart, the one who used to debate with Ahmed Didat, a lot, when they were discussing this, he said, no, my first this thing. And then after that, he was caught with a prostitute first time, and then I think he was caught the second time. I don't know if there was more time than that. And he said, yeah, because you're going against the usual common nature among men, that they would want to have more than one wife. And there's no shame in that. You know, provided they follow the regulations of how to do that in the times of Islam. Those who have a problem or disgruntled about polygamy, Islam said we will sort that because it's the issue of how someone really takes care of it that makes people disgruntled. But not because people they actually are against it in and of itself. And so that's quite interesting. So when you tell people, you know, I know it really has, you still have 2 wives or 3? Okay. Back to one. Okay. What is number two coming to?
Sure.
It's yeah. You know, so you understand that this is the point about Islam. Islam is very agreeable and is very in line with our nature, our natural predisposition. That is why Islam is also associated with the fitrah in and of itself. Because nothing that we see in Islam goes against our fitrah. Nothing in Islam goes against our natural predisposition. Because it's given to us by the one who created us, and he knows exactly what is relevant to us. You see the point? And so this is some of the things. And also the issue of cleaning ourselves. We never had, toilet papers back then. So we had the means of washing, cleaning yourself, using mud rocks, and like leaves and things like that. And so when people ask you, what you guys, you said, how do you think your forefathers would have done if you were to raise them now and show them this toilet paper? They'll be wondering, or they'll be shocked what kind of a witchcraft is this, Because they say, if I show me the bushes, I'll go and knock myself out. They probably even freak out from the toilet when you flash it. And, hey, what happened to my business? And so we show people circumcision, something there is other traditions like the Xhosa and the Sotho, and many other things that obviously they are not a loss for someone who embraces Islam. And this is the point we want to help people understand. So is it fair, brothers, to claim that Islam is also for black people? This is a fair claim, isn't it? It's evident, correct? Like no black person is gonna feel like a bit out or left out or like not fitting, you know what I mean? And so this is very, very important. And unfortunately, because of time, we cannot really delve into these contemporary issues because they are quite very technical. But I know the issue of global life is something that currently, alhamdulillah, there's a good discussion on it that is happening among like scholars and so forth, and like people understand the background of where these things are coming from and what. What I want to mention about the issue of amal, usually the term shows someone who's who's watching or overseeing something, because that is what it is. And we understand that people have conflicted the concept of angels and the souls of those who are dead. And this is where the issue is. And so hopefully, I hope this is your research as well, how your tradition see those who passed on, what they see them to be, and see the relationship between the concept of the jinn and what the angels are, and see how to merge that, to help people understand that when a person passes on, it doesn't become anything than the fact that he was a soul that was in a body now which is out of the body. And it does not turn into an angel, like how some people really believe. If the child dies as a kid, then he becomes an angel. These are all misconceptions that are there, and they are tantamount to the belief system of a person. And so you might meet someone who dies Islam, but he still believes that those who pass on, they have anything to do for him while he's alive, while they're dead. And so we want to also deal with that in a very, I would say, educated way, clarify to them that listen, the creatures that protect and look after the children of Adam are different than the souls of those who pass on, which is the angels, the malaika. Because people, they want that security. The reason why they believe in these things. So when you take this away from them and say, no, don't worry about the ancestors anymore. They are passed on and they cannot help you. Now they feel like they are left, not taken care of. You say, no. The one who was looking after you while you were alive is the same one who's looking after you when they are dead. And he has assigned creatures that will do the task for them. But don't, because they don't have a criteria who becomes Idos and who does it. Who becomes the one who looks after the family and the one who does it, because you can't dead. I remember speaking to one guy, and I told him, you know what, we believe that you must worship the Creator alone and whatnot. And he said, yeah, no, that's very understandable. That's why I don't believe that Jesus is God. And interesting, very good, But then in the same breath, he said, yeah, I know that my ancestors are taking care of me. I said, no. Which one from among your ancestors? Because we have a long chain, a long standard of ancestors. So which one from them is taking care of you? I said, okay, so all of your ancestors taking care of you? He said, yes. So what about the other family members? Who's taking care of them? Then he wouldn't answer that. I said, okay. So that means then there must be some job description that you look after so and so you look after. So who is looking after you from all of them? You say, I don't know. So you see, that's the problem. But if you know that the Creator is looking after you, you have no doubt about that. So leave these guys, because they're like, if you feel they're employees of the Creator, and please take this. If someone believes in ancestors, that they do anything, you ask them, what they're doing it out of their own power or power given to them. Usually they will say, power given to them. Right? So in that case, who are they working for? They're working for the Creator, correct? So if you are disgruntled with their work, who would you report it to? To the employer or to the listener? To the employer. Like if we order a pizza right now and the pizza delivery man does not come on time because this is what people are getting treatment. You see your life, why is it taken? Because your ancestors, they are holding your gifts. We said, who sent them? Do they have the ability to deny the command of Allah and delay it? Then they are not the type of people we can treat well, because if they are disobeying the Creator, then we have no business with those who disobey the Creator. So it goes back to the Creator once again. You see the point? Because if they withhold what the Creator has brought for me, then they're not good people. So I can't slaughter for them. I can't serve them. I can't do anything in their favor. Because they are letting me down. The Creator want me to be rich today. They are busy holding it so that I can slaughter one cow. Whose cow is this that I'm slaughtering? Is it theirs? Did they create it? No. Did they create this mbuzi? No, they did not. So why would I even want to entertain them when they have these tricks and they have all these funny things that they can do? But when I know that my Creator is the one who provides me, then I know he means no evil against me. But if they can be evil against me, then I want to teach them. And I want to be protected by the Creator. My grandfather used to tell me that, because he used to do this traditional healing and things like that. He used to tell me his mother and father, they are the ones who run this school, where they keep the motifs and things like that. So they were also communicating with him. So he told me, you are under their protection. I said, okay. Both of them want. Said both of them. So when I go to school, they are supposedly going with me. Now the problem was, when I go to school, he is at home. Who's looking after him? Who's looking after his son who's in Durban? Who's looking after his son who's in another? His wife and his grandchildren? Because it's only two of them doing this work. Are they in many places at once? You see how much belief I must bring into this for it to be true? And there's no evidence for it? Big problem. So I thought to myself, he does something known as soothsayers, people who check your fortune and things like that, right? Fortune telling and whatnot. So I come home from school, he just was helping someone to tell him what's going on in his life. I'm thinking, who is giving him this information? The same two individuals, correct? They must have left me in school alone without any protection to come and do this work here. Because if you have a security guard here, who must also try and direct cars where to park and whatnot. You can't be here doing the security work and directing cars at the same time over there. There's no way. It doesn't work. So that's where I realized now there is some shenanigans going on over here. It's more of me believing in this than it being true. And so I told myself, I want to find out. Another point I did was, you are told not to go with shoes in that place. I don't know if you're familiar with this. When you go to see these people, they say, take off your shoes. I wore my shoes and I wanted to see what's going to happen, because he had told us, you're going to, they might be, harm you. You might become mute and not be able to speak and all those kind of things. And there are a lot of rituals to be done to free you from that. I said, I need to find out, because I've already established these guys, they are not really what we are told they're doing. They are not capable of these things. So I went there next to the mutis with the shoes, and I was preparing one of the mutis as well when he sent me for it. But I know he was the one who was going to pick me up, not them, if you were to see me. So I had to, make sure he doesn't see me. I also expected that they would tell me that, hey, your grandson was here in our territory and was essentially without wearing shoes, without taking them off. They never showed it. I'm like, they can't see them, they're not, like all powerful and all that. I thought maybe it was me, I didn't take enough time. I did it the second time, I thought maybe they'll be angry and do nothing, but maybe this time they'll definitely be angry with me and do something, So I went again. I put my feet, the moves that is spread down, like those ones that are like cheap marks and things like that. I put my feet there cheap. Well, I stood there for I think 2 minutes or so, waiting to see what I can. And that's when I established that most of what we do, I realized that most of this is a belief system. No truth behind it, no evidence behind it. But when you come to the belief system of Islam, there's either an ayah or there's a hadith for it, which is authentic from the Prophet that is based upon. So we don't have blind faith in Islam, alhamdulillah. Most of this is blind faith. Most of it. One of the things I want to include, because we type in time. People who came with different sicknesses were given the same ingredients or remedies. I'm thinking, one who is injured is given the same thing. One who has some type of an infection is given the same thing. I'm thinking, what's going on over here? You know, one of the funny things that was happening, you see, there's a lot of chickering and cook work, you know. I can say this now, you know, without issues because they passed on you. So they wouldn't do anything about it, you know. So now, you see, you have a mixture where they will take, you know, whatever that powder that is made and collected, you know, put it in water and make it nice into something that you can actually drink. Quality water, like water, right? So this. But it's also going to make another one, you know, like a nice sachet of the same mixture that is already here and give you two prices, one for the bottle and one for the soup. I'm thinking to myself, this is the same content that is there. It's like me telling you a bottle that has sugar water, and then I give you also a sachet of sugar. I say you drink from here, and you know also drink from me, right? Of course, right? It's the same thing. If it's the sugar that is doing the work, either I'm going to lick it or I'm going to drink it. But why am I paying for drinking it and paying for licking it? You could have given him, say, mix it with water and have it drink it all. You see, this is what doctors prescribe. That's why you have sometimes a pill or sometimes you have an injection. If he gives you an injection, he doesn't give you a pill. If you don't like the injection, he's going to give you a pill for it because it has the same content. But if he's charging you for the injection and the pill for the same thing, then obviously he's calling you. And these people are a lot of con artists. And so, my brothers, our task is to free our people from all these things because they are playing with the people's belief. There's no truth behind it. There's no truth behind it. And so people must know they are protected by Allah from the day they are born until the day they die. Through the angels of Allah who never, they do not disobey Allah. Allah commands them, they do exactly like that. And they don't need you to tell them to do the job because they listen to Allah. And so you must deal with the empire which is Allah, and you'll be safe. And we need to free people from this false aqidah. We need to free our people from this wrong aqidah. That they think, hey, if I don't do it the way they like, and then we must fear Allah with this fear. And people love them more than they love Allah. Because these are tawafits, these are things that are making people digress and lose the path and go beyond what is necessary. And ask Allah, to make us those who are free, who free people from what is wrong and call them towards that which is good. And we must understand that Islam is going to spread with or without us. And so it benefits us to become part of the process. But definitely, it's not a loss to Islam when I don't do dawah and when you don't do dawah. People have found Islam in many various ways. But we must understand that it's a benefit for us because we said earlier on, dawah is a form of worship. And that's what we will come the day of judgment with. We won't come with our lineage, with our money, with our children, with our race, with our tribe, with our country or nationality. We will come with the deeds. And we ask Allah to grant us the best of those. And when we meet Him, we meet with those which please Him. Sallallahu alaihi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
الله يفتح عليك.
To thank one and all who were in this function and to thank IPCI for taking the time and the effort to come and enrich our lives and add value to the work of beings. And all those that come from far and wide, Ali Malavera is from Nelspray. We pray that you continue your good work in your area. Ustad Jazakallah for supporting us with your IT work with us. All those are from Langavel, Sakane, Jerusa, from Benoni, Actonville, Davidson. We acknowledge your presence. You've made this a success. I want you to understand your life matters. If you don't value it, nobody will build. So this is an opportunity for you that we're going to set a date that each of your areas, how IPCI in conjunction with our area of springs are going to support over. We have the capacity, we want to build capacity in your areas, inshallah. Jazakallah once again to all those who have taken the time to attend. May Allah reward you. Zohar Namaz is being prayed in our center here. With wuzu facilities, limited toilet facilities. Those of you want to start getting ready, and thereafter meal will be served. Assalamu alaikum.